Welcome to I Drink Your Podcast, where we drink and talk about movies from 2007.
The fourth dimension will collapse upon itself, you stupid bitch.
Shut up, I'm a man and I know what's good for me.
Bountiful penis. Amen.
Boy, my ass is sore.
You can get pink eye from farting in a pillow?
Yeah, but you gotta be bare-assed.
I'm gonna invent a toothbrush for your butthole.
It does the trick.
Paddington Bear.
He's a homewrecker?
Yeah, he wrecks homes.
You are a murderer of love.
I drink your podcast. I drink it up.
Welcome back to another episode of I Drink Your Podcast. With me today are Emily.
Hello.
Wesley.
Hello.
And we are joined again by our wonderful friends from the Effin' Nerds podcast, Nick.
How we doing?
And Martin.
Hola.
Hey guys, glad to have you today.
Glad to be here.
Glad to be here.
I'm so happy you guys came back to us. You don't hate us.
Yeah, we thought about it. We're like, do we really want to go back? Nick was like, bro, just get over it. I was like, all right, I guess.
I'm excited to be included this time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, before we get started today, does anyone have anything interesting in their glass?
I have something extremely magical. I'm very excited about this.
Extremely magical.
Yeah, it's extremely magical. We bought some of this, I don't know, they're weird like blue drops that when you add lemon juice to it, it changes magical colors. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to call it my little buddy magic trick, I guess. So I add lemon juice and it turns pink. And it's pretty. So, ooh, magic tricks.
Magic tricks are great for podcasts, let me tell you.
Should be highlighting in Vegas there, Emily.
I probably should, yeah.
Well, I had a little bit of trouble with my computer today and didn't take a ton of time, but I did at least on my shelf have something called a smoking bacon flavored bourbon. So this is a bacon maple bourbon from it's who cares where it's from? It's delicious.
It's smoking.
Smokin' A.
I've got a drink called the Four Aces, and I'm not exactly sure why it's called that, but it's vodka, ginger liqueur, club soda, simple syrup, lime juice, and grape juice.
Oh, shit.
Nice.
Yeah, why is that called Four Aces? What are the aces?
Probably the bar that it was created at.
Oh, well, that's exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah, fuck you, Ben.
How about you guys?
I just got orange juice. To be honest, I'm not really I'm kind of taking a break from drinking. So,
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat too.
I did that last week.
Yeah, I'm holding off until my birthday. I made a little promise to myself for the beginning of the year. I was going to drink until my birthday, which is in July. So I still got a couple more ways to go.
Still going strong.
Once your birthday comes around, what's your drink of choice? What are you going to have to celebrate?
Everything.
Everything.
I'm going to carry out of the bar like Common carried Alicia Keys down the stairs. That's how I'm going. That's my goal.
So Nick will be Common and you'll be Alicia Keys, and that's
Yeah. I'm going to have my hair down and everything, so it's going to be like it's going to be a nice moment. Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Awesome.
I'm tearing up.
Yes.
Well, we're excited to have you guys back. What has been going on with your show?
Well, I think when did we do the Gone Baby Gone? Was that in
That was back in November.
November, right?
Jesus.
Right. So
Yeah.
at the end of last year, we took a little bit of a break. We kind of stepped away from the podcast. We took a little couple month hiatus. We were still doing like audio, like movie reviews. We were still doing a couple episodes, but we weren't doing really any video, which is something that we did a lot beforehand. All of our reviews, all of our episodes, everything we would record it, do a video, and put it on YouTube. But we kind of cut back on the video. We were doing a couple audio only episodes, and then in March we kind of did a little, I guess, revamp with the channel when we just took essentially the video content and just made it kind of convert it into our dailies, which is these short month daily segments where we just kind of talk about the news of, what had dropped earlier that day or the day before. And one of the reasons we did that was because we found, like we were saying before, that when you record it and you edit it, we sometimes found our episodes to come out at a time which found the news that we were talking about to be about 2 weeks detached sometimes. And it wasn't as relevant. So the dailies is a fun way to kind of be a little bit more relevant, have a little bit more fun. It's quick, it's easy. We know that everyone in the world has like a short attention span nowadays. So it's like, it's hard to keep people's attention for more than like a minute, if that. So we figured, all right, we'll just do something a few minutes a day, just kind of be a little bit more relevant. And then we'll still do our weekly episodes at the end of the week where we just pick like a handful of topics and discuss them a little more in depth. The last couple of weeks, we helped a buddy of ours do a short film.
Oh,
so we were we were extremely busy. This past week was a fucking nightmare. It was just like, oh my God, it was tough. But we're hoping, once things kind of settle down, we're planning on bouncing back to our daily format of FN Dailies.
Awesome. And what kind of role did you guys play in helping with that short film?
So for me, I was the producer, and now I'm involved in the editing process. So I'm putting the movie together. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, and I was a script supervisor. So it's like, in a Disaster Artist, when he's like, line, he's like, I did not hit her. I swear. It's bullshit. So that was me. So whenever someone said line, I just pretty much fed them the line or just pretty much made sure that everything was good. And then I wrote down, so, the director would be like, oh, the second take was the best one. So then I would write it down to help out the editor of the movie because the editor of the movie sucks. So I just have to make his job as easy as possible,
Wow, you guys might have to get a new editor if he sucks that much.
Yeah, he's trash.
Nick, what made you fall in love with movies?
I think when I was a little kid, it was just that escapism, really. And I think that's kind of a general answer, I think, for everybody. It's just that escapism to something different. And I think movies just have this very unique ability at picking people up when they're kind of at like their low points. Like, I think movies can be very inspiring, very uplifting. And I've always just been drawn to that. I've always just been drawn to really good storytelling, really good characters, getting kind of immersed in these different worlds that all these movies can kind of bring to you. And yeah, that's my kind of short answer on why. It's a much longer answer, but that's the condensed version.
Yeah. Do you have a couple movies that were really formative for you?
So I grew up on a lot of Arnold Schwarzenegger movies.
Yes, I'm getting caught up on those.
So good.
But yeah, so is that, and then like a lot of classic comedies like Caddyshack, Animal House, and then even like the blockbuster stuff, whether it was Back to the Future, Jurassic Park, Ghostbusters, like all that kind of stuff just sort of like shaped like, my love for movies. And then since then I've just, every year it's just what's new that's coming out, what's new that I'm dying to see. And yeah.
Awesome. And how about you, Martin?
Well, I wasn't really like a big movie buff, so to speak, growing up. I was kind of more like I guess your mainstream guy. I watched whatever was like popular at the time. Kind of like when you think of, for example, to do a somewhat metaphor, it's like you think of like music listeners, right? And they listen to like whatever's on the radio, or they listen to like, or they actually go in and do like music research and find these smaller bands and stuff like that. I was more like the radio listener, quote unquote. So I watched like whatever was in theaters. And then whenever movies that came on TV, I would like rewatch the same shit over and over again, like the big blockbuster where there was like Transformers, Dark Knight, like just the same shit over and over again. But actually, when I went to my first year in college, my buddy was actually a film major, and that's when like I first started like when I first saw like a lot of Tarantino movies. Because up to that point, this was maybe like 12 years ago. Up to that point, I had not seen like a lot of Tarantino movies. I had not seen a lot of Fincher movies. I had not seen like a lot of shit that like quote unquote cinephiles like classify as like the holy grail of cinema. So I started watching a lot of that, started getting familiar with that. And then once I saw Drive in theaters, the Ryan Gosling movie, that was like the game changer. I was like, I need to see more of this. I'm like, what is like, I need to explore this world more. I need to find out what, like this is cinema. Like this is cinema. This is what everyone's fucking talking about. Okay, I need more. I gotta find out what's going on. So then from there, I started like watching a whole bunch of more like independent films. I went on like a crazy like independent film sort of streak and for like a good 2 years. And I watched all these smaller budget films. And obviously being in New York, you have like the IFC theater. You have a lot of smaller independent theaters that show these movies. So I would always kind of go and check them out. And it was always a lot of blast. So that's kind of where my sort of love for movies kind of grew.
So the day that we are recording this, it is the Cinephile Super Bowl, basically. It is the Oscars tonight. If you guys ran the Oscars of the nominees, and I'm going to limit you to the nominees, so of the 8 movies that are nominated, what's your best picture this year, Nick?
Probably Nomadland.
Okay. Any particular reason?
Well, I think it's a movie that not everybody is going to connect with. You know what I mean? But it feels like there was just something about it when we were watching it. It just has like this insane blend of being a documentary and a narrative feature. And it's on this level of just like, it's just very human. It's a very human film. And it's very much in touch with its characters and very in touch with like the earth and nature and like, you know, these people and what they're doing. And yeah, it was just a very like affecting movie. And like when I saw it, I was like, yeah, that was really good. And then it was just in my head for so long after that like I had never really had an experience with that before. And like, you know, what's funny is it might not be a movie that I constantly go back and rewatch, but that first like experience was just something that I had never really like experienced before. So definitely that one.
Very cool. And how about you, Martin?
The Old Guard. I'm just kidding.
Hey, I like that movie.
I hate that movie. Oh my God, it was not for me. But no, I'm with Nick. I also think it's going to be Nomadland. Nomadland is one of the few movies I think in recent years that kind of lift up to the hype. Because I feel like going into Oscar season, you always have like these movies that are like being hyped up as like, oh my God, you got to see it. You got to see it. There's all these people are clamoring and talking about it. I think it was the same situation with Parasite last year too, or well, the year like 2 years ago. It feels like a lot longer than last year.
Right.
But that was another movie too that definitely lived up to the hype. But yeah, I'm with Nick, man. Like I saw Nomadland, and you know, not to sound cheesy or dramatic or whatever, but like I literally wanted to cry throughout the entire film. Everything about it just felt so genuine, felt so authentic. I thought it was an absolutely beautiful film. I loved the characters, and a lot of these characters are real people. You know, like is he kind of going back to Gone Baby Gone, a little full circle connection, but it used a lot of the people, a lot of the Boston residents, you know, to kind of create that authenticity. Same thing here. They kind of got these nomads to create this sort of authentic lifestyle.
I think those people who love Nomadland are going to be very happy with the results tonight because it feels like a foregone conclusion that it's going to win tonight. So but we'll find out. If you have not listened to our show before, during the first half of our podcast, we'll be discussing and reviewing Smokin Aces, a movie that was not nominated for Best Picture.
What?
Rightfully
Are you
so.
kidding me?
How dare.
And the second half features our Battle of Twits, a creative competition this week featuring our guests, Martin versus Nick.
Woo!
And our current leaderboard is Emily with 8, myself with 7, Wes with 6, Matt with 5, and the guests with 3. And again, we did watch Smokin Aces, directed by Joe Carnahan, featuring Jeremy Piven, Ben Affleck, Ryan Reynolds, and a whole bunch of other people that you would recognize.
I'll forgive you, Darwin. Shoot, I appreciate that, man. If I needed your car, me and my brothers were wanted by the law, I would have killed you to get it too. You would have? Oh, hell yeah.
Buddy Aces Israel, magician and wannabe gangster, is hiding out in a hotel in Lake Tahoe with his entourage while his agent is trying to make a deal with the FBI. While this is happening, agents Donald Carruthers, played by Ray Liotta, and Richard Messner, played by Ryan Reynolds, discover that the ailing mob boss Primo Speranza has put $1 million bounty on Israel by an infamous assassin known as the Swede in order to bring him his heart. Many other assassins also go after Israel, making things incredibly difficult for the FBI.
I struggled right away with this beginning. I really did. The exposition was in my face the whole time.
It's a lot.
And it's very flashy, very like whoosh, like trying to be like.
It's a lot of editing. Yeah.
It's funny too because I hadn't seen this movie in years. I think I first saw it like when it first came out a couple times off of Redbox, baby. That's actually one thing I didn't mention. I was a Redbox whore. I used to go to Redbox all the time. And like there was one like 2 blocks away I used to go all the time and get like, I'm pretty sure I got the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the Jessica Biel remake from Redbox like 10 times. And like saw like all these like horror movies I used to get from Redbox all the time. But that's neither here nor there. But I saw it like a couple of times when it first came out. And I think since then, like maybe since 2008 or 9-ish, haven't seen it. So it was nice to kind of get another refresher on it. But yeah, I'm with you. It's like right off the bat, it's just like, what the fuck? It's like, all this stuff is happening. It's very fast and very stylized in the way it was edited and cut and the transitions. So yeah, it was like, oof, okay.
And the style didn't bother me as much. It was the whole Ben Affleck's character going through and explaining every single assassin in detail. And then like FBI agents were also kind of doing that. And I was going, okay, well, what the fuck is actually happening? Right. I don't actually get it.
And what we were seeing on screen wasn't necessarily adding anything to the character descriptions that we were getting from Ben Affleck. Like it was very just, here's background footage that we have of these assassins doing their life. And I found it very much like a tell, don't show situation. Like even though we were getting a whole bunch of images thrown at us very quickly, like it didn't really tell us anything about who these people were or why they were doing what they were doing.
Yeah, it reminded me a little bit of like the scene from The Replacements when Gene Hackman is breaking down a team and you're cutting back and forth. You see like Orlando Jones at a convenience store. You see like Bateman, Jon Favreau, the godfather of the MCU, like being a SWAT officer. And it worked. I feel like it worked better there than it does here because like, yeah, rewatching this movie after so long, which again, with a new perspective, I'm like, yeah, this movie's not that great. And it's not as good as I remember it, I don't think. But yeah, I'm with you guys. Like the whole, like, I think first act was just like a little like weird.
So I have been trying to force myself to watch movies with subtitles on. And this movie did not pay off. It literally, it's the first time I think I've ever watched a movie with subtitles that it actually distracted from the bullshit that was going on screen.
Because there was so much happening.
And it's so lightning fast.
It's so quick. And yeah, I think it's that the Replacements reference is very interesting to me because I think that's such a good point that this was a trope. It might still be, probably was way before that, but like this, like I'm going to build the entire world of this movie through references to things that don't really matter. And I think that this movie, I didn't dislike it. I'll just like, let's drop the curtain. It was not good. I'm not going to die on that hill.
I haven't seen The Replacements, so I'm sorry I didn't get your reference. But don't so even gasp. Good. Don't even gasp. Everyone knows that Emily hasn't seen any. That one is the
least surprising. Emily hasn't seen yet.
But it felt in the beginning like it was building up to a heist that wasn't actually happening. That was kind of the impression that I got. Kind of the Ocean's 11 introductory to everyone, but it didn't actually add to anything because everyone was in their own little world and they weren't actually working together. So it felt like it didn't need to happen that way. I felt like the introductions to all the different assassins didn't have to come directly from someone's mouth. I felt like it could have been revealed as, oh, that's another assassin. Oh shit, there's another assassin. Like having a slower reveal, I thought would be more interesting.
Yeah. So I know for me, I actually saw this in 2007 when it came out. I think it came out in January of 2007, and I saw it twice in one day. I saw it because I think we were off from school that day. I saw it once, like at a matinee, and then I went again with another group of friends at night. And this movie is not good, but it's probably one of my favorite like guilty pleasures because this movie is a chaotic mess of a film.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
It's weird. It's wild. The characters are absolutely insane, but there's something oddly compelling about it to me. And like the characters, while they are crazy, and yes, there's so much exposition, like I kind of like am interested in these characters. And like I almost want to see more if that sounds kind of weird. And then even like when we get to like the ending, I love the ending of the movie. I know I'm skipping ahead here, but I know we'll get to it. But that last scene, like I love that last scene, music and all.
We're going to disagree. We're going to disagree on that one when we get to it. But,
okay.
Nick, I am totally on your side right now.
Okay,
like,
all
I
right,
am
man.
1,000%. That you said it beautifully.
Well, it's kind of like what you were saying too of the trope, because I do kind of feel like you were saying, it does kind of try to harness into that sort of Ocean's 11 aesthetic, so to speak. But when you really think about it, there was so many between this, like Shoot 'Em Up, Domino, Lucky Number 11, like all these movies had like
that's a great one.
Had like a similar sort of look to them, and this sort of like weird, sort of like gray, cloudy aesthetic vibe that this movie was then like, okay, trying to almost piggyback off of that. I don't know where the hell that came from, but like you just had these handful of movies that just really like try to harness to that sort of like aesthetic. And like this is definitely one that falls into it.
Yeah, this movie really badly wanted to be a Guy Ritchie movie, like Snatch. This wanted to be Snatch so badly, but the director didn't understand what worked about Snatch and couldn't replicate it.
Yeah, I feel like it definitely tried to be a lot.
It tries to be a lot. It tries to be Tarantino. It tries to be Guy Ritchie. There's a lot of things it tries to be,
I feel like this would have been much better if it was made now as like an 8-episode series. Like then we could actually get some backstory about who these hitmen are, and it could have built to this huge like explosion bloodbath of a climax. But in an hour and a half movie, it just feels so fast, and I feel no connection to anything.
Yeah, and I also think this was Carnahan's like second film at the time. I know it was like one of his earlier films, so I think that he was way too ambitious for what he was trying to do. And I think that, had this been made like now, I think it'd be a hell of a lot better. And I think him personally has gotten better as a director as well. I think he hasn't directed anything in a while. I know he's written a lot of like different scripts that unfortunately haven't really gone anywhere. But, like he did like The Grey, and The Grey is an amazing film, with Liam Neeson where he's, fighting the wolves, that's, if you guys haven't seen that, it's an awesome film.
That's a really interesting point, though, that I didn't think about that if this had been made now, like doing this as a longer series, I think this has potential. Like the plot and the impetus of the story has a really great opportunity to be something better. But yeah, that's really, really interesting that I'm still kind of just reeling as I'm talking right now about how much it suffered from only being an hour and a half. But like, yeah, if this had been like a mini series, God, I would have loved to watch an episode on the Mayhem brothers.
Yeah,
right. And then you can kind of just strip away the exposition and just spend each episode focusing on each assassin.
Right. And I think we're all talking about how there was just too much stuff in this movie for it to be really, really good. And so spacing it out, it had a really great potential for the story even, but everything was smashed in to the point where you are introduced to all of these really interesting assassins, but it kind of washes over you. You don't get a chance to like soak it in. You have these two women that are hired by, I can't remember, Speranza's like underboss or something.
One of them, yeah.
One of them. And then they have their own like dynamic going on. And then we have Suit, the guy that is so good at disguises. And I was like, oh, that's so cool what he's doing. And he's like mimicking voices. That was so cool. And then we have Acosta, who's just a fucking maniac torture guy and like bit off all of his finger. It's just
fingernails.
Just weird. Not fingernails, but the fingerprints. Yeah.
No, I was doing a Juno reference. Baby has fingernails.
Yay, 2007. Yeah. And then we have this insane neo-Nazi group of brothers. And I don't know. Everything was just packed in there so much. I couldn't have a moment of respite to just enjoy what was happening.
What do you see right now? You see exactly and only what I choose to show you. That is illusion, Ivy. That is the lie that I tell your eyes, making the magic happen in the moment.
After the Tremors kill the bail bondsman, Carruthers and Messner split up to take care of things. Agent Carruthers encounters a disguised Acosta in an elevator going up to Israel, but the two are mortally wounded when things go wrong. Soot, another assassin, disguises himself as one of Israel's lackeys and makes it to the hotel room. Things begin to go very wrong when more assassins convene on the scene, and then Sir Ivy, played by Common, Israel's second-in-command, learns of the FBI deal and goes nuts on Israel. Moments later, the FBI pulls the deal, and Israel attempts suicide.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah. I gotta know, were there any like favorite assassins out there for anyone?
It was probably Soot.
I agree with Soot.
Yeah.
So it's good. I would have loved, because I know we're talking about seeing more, I would have loved to just see more of what like Alicia Keys' assassin could do.
Yeah.
Because like, just like being a dude, just having the sexy like female assassin was cool. So I'm like, I want to see more, some like Kill Bill vibes, like when you think of like Ren growing up and like sniping people like miles away and like showing her potential. I would have loved to see more of like what she could do and how she can use like her abilities to like take people out. But yeah, I think like the kind of like the safe answer is so just because he's cool. He's a master of disguise, and that's cool. That's like, oh, it's always cool.
I mean, this may be a soundbite that can be taken out of context, but I love the neo-Nazis.
Oh my God, Ben. No, seriously,
love those characters.
I loved them too because they were so fucking awful. And I
just want to say the effing nerds do not agree with what I think your podcast says. Just point it out.
Nazis, all the neo-Nazis died in here, and that was the best part of the movie. Yeah. But I will say them as a trio of brothers, just, I don't know, Chris Pine blew me away.
I totally forgot he was in this movie.
Chris Pine is great, man. And for one of his first movie roles, you really see like what he's going to become in this movie. Like he's great.
When he grabs Ben Affleck's face, that moment sealed the deal for me. Like his two brothers are fighting in the background, which I don't know why. They're just fucking wrestling, and
they're
it's
just
weird.
Nutheads, yeah.
I know. And then there's Chris Pine just playing with Ben Affleck's mouth. And I'm like, what is even happening? I love this.
Little bit of alternate universe film history. This role was originally played by Michael Shannon, but he got fired on the set.
No. Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wow.
I have to say right now, I didn't take a ton of notes in this movie, and one of them was that I did not like Chris Pine. And it's, yes, everyone's face for the podcast listeners right now, everyone is pissed at me. I didn't like Chris Pine in this role. And it's only because of where I know now in 2021 what Chris Pine is. And like him being in this trio didn't make sense to me watching it. It seemed like a celebrity reach for fame or something. And I'm sure that's all.
But it wasn't, because it was 2007, Wesley.
Yes, I know. Yeah, totally. But like as I'm watching it in 2021, it seemed like a fame grab. It seemed like somebody.
Well, fuck you, Wesley. You're wrong.
Okay, fine. I don't care. But at the same time, like he was decent, but I feel like I don't know. Like I couldn't get over the fact that that's Thor. You know, like that's Thor.
No, that's not
Thor's son.
Yes,
is that what you meant
correct.
to say?
Sorry. Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Thor's son.
Yeah. Little Star Trek reference.
Yeah.
It just didn't make sense that Chris Pine was in that role for me, and he seemed too famous for that trio. But the big guy in that brothers trio, I absolutely love that actor, and I
know because you love Wild Hogs.
Was he in Wild Hogs? Oh, he was in Wild Hogs. Oh, fuck.
Do you love X-Men Origins as well? Wolverine?
No. I'll go on record right now saying no.
Yeah.
I will go on record also as saying like this was a very heavy Lost cast film where there were a lot of people that were in the TV series Lost that were in this film, and that's I think where I first ever saw that guy, and I think that he was like perfectly cast in that role. And I just think that Chris Pine, maybe it's just a 2021 perspective of it, but I don't feel like he fit in with that Chaos Tremor Brothers vibe.
Kevin Durand is his name.
I knew that. Kevin Durant.
Yes.
Basketball player.
Yes, thank you, Martin.
Durand with a D.
Brooklyn Net.
Yep.
Kevin Durant. This entire second act, though, just felt like it was setting all the pieces in place for what was coming in the third act, and it didn't really work for me. Like it just felt like a lot of moving pieces without a lot of understanding of motivations at this point, other than there's a bounty, we need to kill him.
Well, my thing is like that we kept talking about how it just tries to be so much that I think that's where it's like Nick said, it's a chaotic mess because it just tries to be so much. So you can't understand if it's trying to be like a silly bonkers movie because then it tries to go into some like dramatic character moments and like it's just all over the place. And
it gets real serious.
Yeah. And it's just kind of hard to like sort of get emotionally attached. And then you have like all these like, you have so much bonkers shit going on that it's like, it really just, you're just like, what the fuck? Like all those tomatoes that you threw at the wall, like take some back, like one by one and just like calm it down, like relax.
Speaking of all the dramatic pieces, they added this whole backstory of an FBI agent that went undercover years ago and then just like died, and it seemed so out of place. And obviously it makes sense for the ending, but does it? It was just so random to me.
To be honest, when I first saw this movie, like a zillion years ago, right away I knew like, because I kind of had a feeling just from Lucky Number 11, like the way that kind of played out with like the twist and everything. I'm like, all right, so that's clearly the guy, or like that's clearly like the one.
That's clearly important to something.
So like that's,
Yes.
I had a feeling like that was gonna be sort of the case, and then watching it back now, it's true. Like so much shit. Again, when you talk about exposition, it's so on the nose, and it's like they're trying to he's trying to be kind of like we said, he's trying to be like clever and cheeky, and it's just like he's aiming for the fences, which good for him, good for Carnahan, a young director swinging for the fences, but yeah, it's tough. It really is.
Yeah, and even in this second act, there are scenes that I really do like. Like I do like the elevator shootout between Ray Liotta and Nestor,
I know.
and Nestor Carbone. Like I think that's a really good scene. I like the scene between, even though I don't think Common's the greatest actor, I like the scene with him and Jeremy Piven where they're kind of going at it. I think he's gotten better. But I'll
say I think he's a terrible actor. I am not a Common fan at all. I like some of his music, but he has the exact same monotone delivery in every single like in every single movie it's the same shit, and I'm just like
fair. Then that's fair.
That's but I mean there's like I said, there's a handful of scenes that I really do think land, but as a whole, and it's like there's so much cutting around, like you're jumping from one story to the next to the next to the next, and you can't get an emotional connection to anything because of how quick things are happening.
The jumping around too kind of messes with your sense of time, because you're wondering, like, are these things happening at the same time? Is this more of like a timeline where we're just being pushed to a different part of the world?
With I forgot his name, Martin Henderson's character. He gets like murdered, he gets thrown in the lake, then he goes to that weird ass house, and then he comes back. Like so much shit happens, and it feels like what's going on is only like a couple hours detached, but like his whole situation feels like almost days of like everything that's going on. So yeah, I agree with you that it's the timeline, and in regards to how everything kind of plays out within that timeline is very strange.
Every time there's like quote unquote downtime in this movie, it was done through like rapid music. And I don't know if you guys notice that at all or agree with that, but like every time there was like downtime, it got like really upbeat and energetic like music that happened over like a car pulling into a parking lot. Like it drove me crazy, because I was like, I don't care about this. Why are you auditorily making me feel like this is important or feeling like this is energizing? Nothing is happening right now.
That's probably just like rookie director mistakes, I would probably say, because he's very like, he was probably
trying to make it cool.
Yeah. And just trying to kind of keep like audiences involved or trying to keep their attention. So he's like, oh, I don't want people to like zone out, so let me add some like cool shit.
Yeah.
So
some flash. Yeah. Well, I think it also goes back to what Martin was saying about how this is kind of very much in the same vein as like a Domino or that kind of style. This movie is very much rooted in its time, and I guess you could say like the late 2000s that had, and a lot of them were made almost by like, they had like a music video feel to it. A lot of like, these over stylized type of movies, and that was just kind of a thing at the time. It was just a style, and I think this movie just shows that.
Yeah, the colors seemed really saturated. They had some really interesting editing choices that where they like would hyper focus on something and then move back.
Yep. And like the speed up and slow down.
A lot of whooshes.
Yeah.
Oh, that kid.
That's the scene now you're talking about, that kid with Martin Henderson's character. Like, I don't know where that scene came from. I don't know why it's in this movie. It's the weirdest scene ever.
Yeah. Third act.
Wait, is that the second? I was about to say, is that the second or the third act?
Oh, maybe that is the third act. I could be jumping ahead.
Oh my God, I forgot about the fucking kid.
The kid! I totally forgot about it until I watched it the second time.
That's second act.
I think it's second act, yeah, which is fucking strange. And it's funny too, because like revisiting it after so many years, you kind of forget. I remembered a lot of like the actors and characters just because of like over the years, just kind of looking up the movie every now and then. But like, I forgot about Chris Pine, and I remember the scene being ridiculous, but I forgot how ridiculous it was.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, what the fuck is happening? Like, what is the point? Like, what is the point of this kid being here? It does not make any sense.
There isn't.
You shot me.
And you murdered my friends.
Yeah, I know.
And you dumped us in the lake.
Pretty much.
You were here hunting a man named Israel, weren't you?
Is that who you was here for? Israel? Huh? I guess we both got beat out there, didn't we? Huh? Goddamn. Crazy motherfuckers up there. Huh?
Yes, we did.
Agent Mesner makes it to the hotel with a team of FBI agents, and then everyone starts shooting everyone in a bloodbath. Somehow the FBI team makes it to Israel's penthouse and gets him to the hospital, although many are dead, including Carruthers. Later, Mesner learns that Primo Sparaza is a former undercover FBI agent turned gangster, and that Buddy Israel is his son that he needs for a heart transplant. When Mesner hears that the FBI knew this, he is angered by the unnecessary deaths and pulls the plug on both Sparaza and Israel.
What a lame twist.
I can't believe you like this twist, Nick. I can't believe you like it.
You know, it goes back to what I think Emily was saying this before too, about how there's an interesting story here somewhere. And I think this is part of it. Like, I think the idea of an FBI agent going undercover and then the FBI end up thinking that he's too far gone and killing him, but then he comes back and ends up becoming like the crime boss of the family. I think there's an interesting story there. Like, on paper, that sounds awesome. Here, it's just not presented the right way. And it's also a case of a movie holding all the cards and then just showing everything at the very end to the point where you're just like, well, does all this really add up?
It would be much better as a TV series, I think is what we all agree on.
Yeah. And because you talk about holding the cards and then laying it out there and us not being able to connect the dots. I thought it was a little too telegraphed, and it's something Martin brought up earlier, but they could have changed up the way they talked about plastic surgery to at least not use those words to describe both situations. Because the second they said that, I'm like, oh, well, there's the answer. Like, that's where this is going.
Yeah.
So they could have hidden their cards a little better in that way then.
Yeah, or just you didn't have to give me a full recap. When you said that he was getting plastic surgery, and then we can, connect the dots and realize, oh, that's what they were talking about throughout the movie. But it's like the thing of like similar beats where you then need to go back and we're getting the exact same shit over and over again. It's like when you think of like The Usual Suspects and they're playing everything in their head, like all the ending as like the coffee cup is falling and everything. So it's like, but here too, it's like every little thing. It's like, oh, let's go back to this moment. It's like, oh, remember when we said this? Oh, remember when we said this? This is what we were talking about. This is what we were talking about. And yeah, I'm not like the biggest fan of the ending. I think the ending is like okay. But again, like we were saying of how it tries to be something, I feel like it was like the music reminds me a little bit of Requiem for a Dream. I believe
same composer,
same guy,
right?
Yeah,
it's Clement Sell.
Clement Sell. Yep.
So yeah, it's like again. So it just feels like it's ambitious. That's what I'll say. Like it's trying to achieve something, but I don't think it just like necessarily works because to me, just like him sitting there pulling the plug, I just find it to be a little underwhelming. And I'm just like, okay, so this is kind of how like everything. I will actually almost probably be a little bit more interested if he actually did get the transplant and then see what kind of secrets he's got going on and like how that can possibly play out and seeing the TV show. When you think of like The Departed, when you think of Statham's character, Mark Wahlberg's character, if you know how he knows everything, he kills the guy and he leaves. Maybe if they did something like that with Ryan Reynolds' character, where he kind of essentially goes a little haywire, does his own shit. Who knows? I don't know. But yeah, to me, I was just like, it's okay, but I don't really think I kind of. Being a movie of that time, I found other twists, kind of like Lucky Number 11 and whatnot, to be like work a little bit better in that sort of vein of films.
I think that one of the reasons the twist didn't work for me, and it's more has to do with the impact it then has on Ryan Reynolds' character, because for the entirety of this movie, there is no main character. It's chooses to jump around so much, and then at the end, all of a sudden, it wants us to empathize with the situation Ryan Reynolds is in, and it just doesn't work because we're not like established with this character and who this guy really is other than an FBI agent.
Right.
And so many of the characters are underutilized. Like, for example, Ben Affleck, he gets killed almost immediately, but he's the one that is doing all the exposition right in the beginning. And so you feel like, oh, this is probably going to revolve around him, but it doesn't.
I love that. I love that they killed off Ben Affleck. You take the most recognizable person and you kill him off in the first act. I loved that.
They kill him so he can be in this movie. That's why.
Right. Yep.
I thought that this movie really suffered from having too much. And we've kind of talked about it. There's too many gangs. There's too many other people. And I think that Ben brings up a great point that like killing off parts of it as you go along, I think would have probably, you could have utilized that more, where you could have killed off more of these gangs before they get to Buddy Israel's actual hotel. And I think that would have been more interesting.
Another thing that bothered me is that this movie kind of lacked any sort of creative like action set pieces. It essentially turned into just 10 to 15 minutes of shooting guns. And especially when the one thing I did like, I like that elevator scene, Nick, that you talked about. And I like the use of that high caliber sniper rifle that Taraji P. Henson was using.
Yeah.
I loved that. But then when you think about, okay, she starts shooting in there, and then the cops start shooting back at her.
Oh my God.
It was so dumb.
At a building?
Yeah.
Don't even get me started on that.
They must have killed like 15 hotel guests in the cross. Yeah.
With handguns and shotguns, they're shooting across the street at someone who's shooting a sniper
Yeah,
at
and
them.
not
Yeah,
just
it made
shooting,
no sense.
not just shooting, but like blindly shooting.
Yeah.
They're just like, like right over there. Just
Yep.
There are times when Ryan Reynolds' eyes were closed and he's just like, oh!
No, but that's actually to go back to what you're saying about how they try to make us emphasize with Ryan Reynolds. He goes from like 0 to 100 like real fucking quick, and I just don't think it's really earned. Like we said, we keep talking about how it's underdeveloped. There is no like the relationship between him and Ray Liotta's character. Like it could be something special, but we never got that. We never got the sense of how close they were.
We don't see enough.
So
of
like
it, yeah.
we don't know. So like maybe if we had a little bit more of that, i.e. TV show. I know HBO Max, Paramount TV. I know they all listen to I Drink Your podcast, so I'm sure someone's gonna listen back to this, and I know they're gonna like pick it up as a. It's fine, whoever does. I know there's like 20 million streaming services now. Just give us like 10% profits, all right? We're just putting it out there.
That's all we ask.
Yeah.
Just that.
But yeah, like it's if we just got a little bit more of how significant their relationship was, then I think maybe I would have bought into it a little bit more. But just the way he just snaps at the end, like I don't really buy it completely, and then it just makes me like, and then it makes that ending kind of not that really sad, like doesn't really satisfy me, doesn't really feel like earned or anything along those lines.
So Nick and Wesley, you said you liked that aspect about Ryan Reynolds' character at the end. Why?
Well, I know for me, the one thing that I really liked about doing this rewatch is how refreshing Ryan Reynolds' performance is. Because I think we even talked about this, Martin, is because nowadays he's basically Deadpool in like every movie.
It drives me up the fucking wall. Because the dude can act. And he chooses to do the same shit over and over again because Deadpool has become such a brand. And look, it's no fault to him. He's a salesman. He's selling his brand. But I'm like, dude, I don't need to see you doing the same shit. Like, do something else. I know what you're capable of. And yeah, I'm with you. Like, seeing this, I'm like, oh, that's the Ryan Reynolds I know. Like, bring this back.
Because we saw, like we went to the movie theaters to go see Mortal Kombat, which is a whole nother topic. But we saw trailers for Free Guy and for The Hitman's Wife's Bodyguard, and they could have been the same movie. Like they really could have just been the same exact movie. So it's like all Ryan Reynolds movies are the same now. It's all him just playing that Deadpool persona. So seeing him be a little bit more dramatic, a little bit more aggressive, like I dug it, and like I totally bought into how he was, like his whole acting. Like I like, to me, he's the best. I think he's the best performance in the movie for me. So that's why when we get to that ending and he's pissed off and like when he's going at Ray Liotta, like I just bought into it, and I totally agree with everything you guys are saying about how there's not enough context, there's not enough emotional connection to the character. But I just think for him personally, he's just such a good performer in it that like I can lock into that performance and buy into it.
I agree. I think that at the end of the day, Ryan Reynolds is a good actor, and this performance was not necessarily incredible or anything to write home about or get any awards for. But I think that knowing where he is now, again, in a 2021 lens, looking back on this 2007 movie, that it's like, oh, Ryan Reynolds was kind of doing something different. And I do appreciate that. And I don't think he did poorly. And I think that good or bad, like that's why I think it's good, is because it wasn't bad, if that makes sense. Like,
I almost got what you said.
It would be fun to have on in the background and everyone's drinking and just talking. But again, that's as good as it would be. It's not worth anything else.
This movie did not deserve an Oscar. Ryan Reynolds did not act the shit out of anything. Like, I think it was decent, and it's different than what he has been kind of typecast as what Nick was just kind of saying. Like, he knows his lane, and he kind of sticks to that now. But at the same time, I don't think that's a bad lane.
No, it's not. And he's successful with it. Like, I'm not hating on the guy at all. And like, I do enjoy a lot of his stuff. Like, I love Ryan Reynolds and he's hilarious. You know what I mean? But it is Deadpool. Like, it feels like it's Deadpool, every single character, but it's working for him. He's making a ton of money, man. So more power to him.
Get it.
If you watch also the Red Notice, the Red Notice trailer with him and The Rock and Gal Gadot, when he's like doesn't know how to use a gun, and he's like, oh my God. I'm like, it's literally Free Guy. It's like the exact same like dialogue, delivery, everything. And yeah, I'm with you. Like, I love Ryan Reynolds. I don't think like, you know, what he's doing is successful, and you know, that's what he wants to do. That's what he wants to do. But I would love to see more Buried roles, like what he did for Buried. I would love to see just like something like here where he really kind of like hones in on something different. So, but who knows? Maybe at some point we'll see that again.
And I'm hoping for a Two Guys, a Girl, a Pizza Place, and a movie. Okay, no. Man, that must have been before you guys were born. Fuck me. Wow.
Only Wesley got it.
These are just a few of our incredible thoughts.
That guy really looks like that one witness in the B movie.
Nailed it. Excellent Ray Liotta reference.
That was great. That was good. I actually love that scene. Like, he's not a good fella. He's a bad fella.
That's really it. But I also do want to.
You didn't even want to talk about all the pretty colors? There were so many pretty colors.
They were not pretty. No, it was just kind of yellow.
Yeah, it's that hue.
Lake and
it's that like yellow, cloudy hue. That's what I'm talking about. Like that, all these movies had. Like it's crazy. It's like someone like they made like a template filter, and like a lot of these movies just threw it on there. Like just add on there.
Prior to Instagram, it's the Instagram filter.
It's like the saturation's turned up, the contrast is turned up.
It's a fucking sepia of like the mid 2000s.
Don't even say sepia. All right. I do want to point out, just that was really my only observation, but I feel like we did miss 1.5 other things through discussing this. Jason Bateman.
Yes.
What?
Yes.
What was he doing?
How did we not talk about Jason Bateman?
That I was about to jump on that if nobody else did.
Thank you.
I'm pretty sure he's got like an STD on his lip or something. He's got herpes.
I guess I don't know what to say about Jason Bateman, but he was absolutely my favorite part of this movie. When he first gets introduced, he was like just hilarious. Anyway, and the other part was my absolute favorite part of the movie was very early on when Jeremy Piven is very hungover in the hotel room with all of the naked, passed out, drunk ladies,
prostitutes.
Yes, and he
that's
walks
a normal
over.
Weekend for me and Nick. We normally wake up in that situation.
He walks over to a sunlight and looks up, and then looks at the sun and says, "Fuck you," and then puts on sunglasses. And I was like, that hit me. That hit me super internally of just looking at the sun going, "Fuck you."
Ben, let's play a game.
Yeah, Emily, you're going to play today's game.
Woo woo.
Game on! Game on! Game on!
It is called Common Sayings.
Oh,
so
my God.
I'm going to give you a quote of Commons, a famous quote, and you need to tell me if that quote I consider wise or what? So you got to say wise or what?
Just like that?
Just
Wait,
like,
is it common sayings from only this movie or just like in general?
Or common?
It's just his
Common.
From it's from Common, not from this movie, just from famous quotes that he's had throughout his life.
Gotcha.
So it could be song lyrics, could be interview quotes, just a bunch of fun Common sayings.
Okay.
So 60 seconds on the clock.
I got it.
And away we go. When you have style, it doesn't matter what other people are saying. Correct. I don't believe in role models, but if I do, then I'm mine.
What?
Yeah. I love black thighs. You sisters better realize that real hair and real eyes get real guys.
Wise.
Incorrect.
Damn it!
Education is what you get from reading the small print. Experience is what you get from not reading it.
Wise?
No, never looking back or too far in front of me. The present is a gift and I just want to be.
Wise.
Yes, time is real. We can't rewind it. Out of everyone I met, who told the truth? Time did.
What?
Yep. One day it'll all make sense.
Wise?
Incorrect. You can't label a person just because of what they do or what they have done.
Wise.
Correct. To be a storyteller, you have to be able to speak the truth.
Wise.
True, yes. If the eyes are the window to the soul, open eyes bring the cold.
What?
Yep. Way to go, Emily.
7.
You killed
Yes!
it. Yeah.
I didn't actually kill it. There were some of them that I was like, I really want to say what the fuck right now, but...
I think this was all just a low-key plot for Ben to show off his rapping skills. That's what I think.
They're pretty good, right?
Yeah, they're not bad. You got some bars there, bro.
Yeah. Emily, what did you learn from this movie?
I'm learning.
Oh, you guys, I learned so many things about how movies shouldn't be, but I wanted to make this more like a moral of the story. So here's my moral. Don't try to follow in daddy's footsteps. You'll just get your heart cut out.
Oh.
That's a good
Nice.
one.
That's a great one. That's a great one.
And we come to our reviews. Nick, Martin, what is your review for this movie?
Oh man, it's tough because like I said, like this is not a good movie, but I do consider it to be a guilty pleasure. And like this is one of those movies too where like when I was in high school, like me and all my friends saw it and we all like loved it at the time. It's like, when you're younger and you're watching movies, you kind of don't have that critical filter that you'd get when you're older. So it's like you see it, it's like, oh, that was the greatest movie ever.
Yeah.
So nowadays watching it, it's like a 6.4. I'd probably give it. You know what I mean? I can definitely watch it. I think there's redeeming qualities about it. There's some really good scenes. I love seeing all these actors. Like I think it's a great cast. Everyone looks like they're having a blast during this movie. I don't know how the hell Ben Affleck and Chris Pine kept it together doing that one scene. There has to be some insane outtakes from that of Ben Affleck just cracking up as he's having his face moved around. But yeah, it's like nowadays it's okay. So it is what it is.
I love 6.4, by the way. That's probably my favorite like number rating so far we've had on the show.
Yeah, I mean, same. I think I just remember really enjoying it when I first saw it all those years ago. Rewatching it again recently with a whole new perspective, you kind of really picked up things that don't really necessarily work or don't make sense. So, we were saying that he swings for the fences and he hits it out of the park, but they're all foul balls. So that's kind of how. I'll leave it at that.
And now it's time to play Battle of the Supposed Mob Snitches. I will pose 3 rounds of questions to our less than assassins and let them try to convince me who will make the final kill. The winner of each round will get 1 smoking ace. Second place gets 2 ashy douches. I meant to say deuces, but I'm not going back.
No, don't. Lean into it.
I will be more easily bluffed. That's a poker term.
Yeah.
By the more creative and entertaining answers. So, snitches, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Yes.
Perfect. All right. So, with your chosen random character, a $1 million bounty is placed on their head. Explain who kills them and how they do it. So, we're going to start with Martin. And Martin, your choices are Peter LaFleur from Dodgeball, Alice from Alice in Wonderland, or Milo from Milo and Otis. And just in case you didn't know, Milo is the cat.
Oh, no.
So, Martin, would you like Peter, Alice, or Milo?
I'll take Alice.
All right. While Martin figures out his answer, Nick, why don't you tell us what have you been watching recently, or what do you want to talk about?
So recently went to the movie theaters, which was awesome. And yeah. I know. Well, I mean, that's the thing. We've been lucky for our area. We're in like the New Jersey, New York area, that theaters have been open, but under a strict like 25% capacity. And I think now it's starting to open up a little bit more. But we've gone a handful of times. And recently we did a double feature. Me and Martin went to go see Into the Earth, which is Ben Wheatley's new horror film. And we saw Mortal Kombat. And spoiler alert, we didn't like either of them. Yeah, so for Into the Earth, it's not like Into the Earth is a poorly made film. There's a lot of really effective horror elements to it, but it's one of those like indie horror films, and you guys have probably seen a couple to kind of agree with me that it's kind of one of those films where it's saying like a lot in like a metaphorical kind of way. And when it ends, it just kind of ends with no real sort of like wrap up or conclusion where you're just like, oh, that's it. And that's kind of how Into the Earth is. And it was funny when we got out, Martin's like, I hate movies like that. Cause it's like, it really just has no ending, you know? And then Mortal Kombat, I mean, like, yeah, it's not like we were expecting it to be like the greatest thing ever, but
was it fun? Did you have fun at least?
There's moments of it that are fun. But I think what gets me, and this could be me being
fun.
Yeah. Like some of the deaths are fun. The fatalities are cool. But like a lot of, and for me, I'm probably gonna sound like a snob, because like I love editing. That the editing in the movie is awful, and like that just like takes me out of it. Like it's so choppy, it jumps around a lot. Even like the fights, like I don't know what's happened with like action movies nowadays, but like there's so much like cutting in like a fight scene where it's like we have all these cool shots, we have to show all of them, so it's like there's like 10 cuts in the span of like 10 seconds. You know what I mean? Like it's way too fast.
Its impact.
Yeah, it loses its impact, and you know, it's like you want the scenes to be in a nice wide shot, and yeah.
So, Martin, you have to tell us how a $1 million bounty was placed on Alice from Alice in Wonderland, and who killed them, and how do they do it? So, let's go.
Okay, so after the events of Alice in Wonderland, the queen kind of gets taken out. So now there's happiness going on in Wonderland. However, there's someone who wants the power of the queen. And that certain someone is the Mad Hatter. So he tries to figure out like, hey, I'm going to put $1 million bounty on Alice. But you know what? I actually want to keep this $1 million to myself. So I'm going to take it upon myself to take her out. So then he invites everyone over for a little tea party. And he concocts a very special tea kind of blend that affects only animals and not people. So according to the rules of Wonderland, it's all about time, he has to take her out by midnight. Why? Who the fuck knows why things happen the way they do in Wonderland? So he invites everyone over at 11:30 p.m. Everyone shows up at 11:30 p.m. and starts drinking the tea. The cards don't get affected. Alice doesn't get affected, because it doesn't affect humans. It only affects animals. But who doesn't show up at 11:30 p.m.? Who shows up late? Who is always late? The fucking rabbit. And he has this in mind. So the rabbit shows up at 11. He shows up around 11:54 p.m. He drinks the tea. It affects him really, really bad. He turns into this big sort of monster, and he kills Alice right away through like rabies kind of rage. And plot twist, the end of Wreck, when there's that monster in the attic and kills the girl, that was actually based off of the rabbit attack on Alice.
Oh. Wow. Mm-hmm. So Hatter's plan is to get someone else to kill Alice for him. That's why he's kind of tainting the animals.
Pretty much, because he figures like what are the animals going to do with money? So then in his way, he can figure out a way, because he's a Mad Hatter, to kind of, maybe I can keep some of his cash for myself.
This is animated Alice and not the Johnny Depp Alice.
No, I want to go Johnny Depp Alice. I want to go look, because that's more kind of fucked up visually.
Oh, sure.
So I want to have I want to have a crazy rabbit like monster taking out Mia Wachowski, however the fuck you say her name, like Rex style. Like she's under the tree in the dark. You probably see the cat's glowing eyes in the background. She's like in front of the camera, and you just see like the crazy rabbit pull her back.
Ooh.
Okay.
Love it.
And all you see after that, after the scream in the darkness, all you see is just the cat's smile. Cut to black. Cut to black.
Okay. Next, we are going with Nick, and your options for, again, a character that has a $1 million bounty placed on their head and how they will be killed and by who. Your options are Gamora from Guardians of the Galaxy, Sid the Sloth from Ice Age,
It's great,
or Trixie from Speed Racer.
I'm going to go with Gamora, since that's the one I'm most familiar with.
Cool. Martin, what have you been watching recently? What do you want to talk about?
I just finished, like maybe 2-3 weeks ago, I finished Euphoria, which I actually ended up really...
Oh, hell yeah.
I ended up really enjoying. It's essentially like your traditional CW, like high school drama show, but like cranked to 12.
Yeah, on HBO Crack.
On HBO Crack. It stars Zendaya. It stars a trans actor. And like a couple sort of like unknowns in it, but like Zendaya's like the big name, but it was really great. I actually really ended up enjoying it, because the first episode, I'm like, this is just your traditional like high school drama bullshit with drugs and, you know, some kind of Netflix, whatever. But it really kind of like, I actually really bought into the characters. That's actually another, going back to the Smokin Aces sort of, you know, doing the episodes. That's a show that takes that each episode focuses on a character, which is really interesting. Like the opening talks about like every single character's kind of like backstory. And I found that part like really interesting in the storytelling. But yeah, I definitely enjoyed that. And then we also finished Queen's Gambit a little while back, which was also very great.
Euphoria was super, super good. For anybody else, for any of my other color fans out there, like that's
and it had a great soundtrack too.
The soundtrack was incredible, and the visuals of Euphoria are pretty much like blue and red,
and mix a lot of purple, a lot of like blue, red stuff in there. It's
Zendaya
really good. It's a great
was
show.
Fantastic, and
yes, that was incredible.
The drama was incredible, so I highly recommend it. All right, Nick, you ready?
Actually, I am like kind of stumped right now, so I'm trying to make this not suck.
That's okay. It'll be great. It'll be great.
No, I literally have like the opening like setup, but I have nothing else.
If he's feeling nervous, I think we could let him tag in Emily or I to improv if he thinks that's going to help him better.
Interesting. Very interesting. I will allow it.
All right. So what I'm going to do is I'll do like my little setup, and then I'll ask you guys. It'll always be like a Mad Libs thing. We'll
we can
fill in the blank.
We can even ask you questions to help you out.
Yeah,
all right,
cool.
cool.
The follow-up will be good. Okay.
All right.
So Nick, you were asked the same question. So you chose Gamora.
Yes.
And please describe Gamora's $1 million bounty and who and how they kill Gamora.
Okay. So following the events of Avengers Endgame, Gamora vanishes after helping defeat her father Thanos. But as we know it, when you do bad shit in your past, it always catches up with you. Gamora, in one of her previous bounties, kills the son of...
So she kills the son of... What's Kurt Russell's character?
Ego.
Yeah, she kills one of the sons of Ego, who is also the brother of Peter Quill. So she kills one of those sons who's, you know, off in another planet within the universe. And now that person is coming back to get them. So this person that she killed, this son of Ego, you know, because of Ego's fantastical qualities as a god, the son has some of that imbued into him. So he's actually able to come back to life and try to seek his own vengeance. So he tries to track down Gamora, who is in this, what's the name of the planet that she was killed on?
Vormir.
So he goes to Vormir and he jumps down to where Gamora was sent.
Martin, you shouldn't be helping.
He's going to kill her in the afterlife. So he's going to intentionally kill himself so that he gets to the same plane that Gamora's body's on so that he can kill her. And it's not for the bounty. Like, there's a bounty on her, but he's not after that. He's about revenge. This is a pure revenge story. And he wants to kill Gamora. And you know what? The way he does it, the only way to kill a dead person is to ghost bust them. So he goes in there with a vacuum and he sucks her in and traps her and then goes back to...
Hold on, Ben. I want Nick to finish it.
Okay.
So he has her in the vacuum. Okay.
This is super pressure. I'm sorry, but like,
think John Wick, think all those assassin movies that you like.
So he has her sucked up in the vacuum. I mean, I love it so far.
It's great. Yeah.
Yeah.
Think of like Thanos going into the Soul Stone. Maybe he can go into the vacuum. You know,
Martin.
What, do any of the other Ghostbusters show up?
No, I thought it's just him having a proton pack, the son of Ego.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
The son of Ego has a proton pack, and they're in this plane, right? This deathly plane with like all kinds of other ghosts and stuff.
Yeah, what other ghosts are in there? You know, you got Slimer.
Oh man, no, because I'm trying to like I'm trying to pivot off of this.
You got the hand job ghost in there, Nick.
Dude, I told you.
How does she die in the vacuum? Like, why does that kill her?
It shouldn't kill her; it just traps her.
Right. So what do you do with something you trap in a vacuum when you're done with it?
You throw it in the dumpster.
Throw that shit in the dumpster.
Throw in the dumpster.
Love it.
So that's it. He traps her in the vacuum and then just tosses her out like trash.
let's move on to question 2. I think we are kind of divided on this movie. I feel like there were some negatives and some positives, but what a twist, am I right? So was definitely a major point in the making of this movie. So what is the worst plot twist in movie history? And this is going to be a debate style question where we're going to start with Nick and then go to Martin, and then we'll let Nick rebuttal and then Martin rebuttal. So, Nick, what do you think is the worst plot twist in movie history? Just a tiny question.
Okay, so the worst plot twist in movie history, it's probably more recent, and I don't think enough people have seen it. And it's probably I sort of love it, but it's terrible. It's so bad. So it's a movie called Serenity. And it's with
oh my God.
And it's with Matthew McConaughey, Anne Hathaway, and like a bunch of other actors. So it starts off as almost like a neo-noir thriller. It's like McConaughey's like a fisherman, and his past kind of comes back to him, and there's like all kinds of murder and stuff involved. And it's like you think it's just a typical thriller kind of deal. But then I want to say it's maybe halfway through, maybe a little later than that, it's revealed that McConaughey, Anne Hathaway, all these characters are not real. They're actually part of a video game being controlled by like this 10-year-old kid. And when I saw that, it was so insane. I was like, there's no way this is real. And on top of that, it was made by the guy that created Peaky Blinders. So I'm like, where did this come from? Like, how did this even happen? So it's like, it's a fisherman game that this kid is playing. It's nuts. It's wild. It's so bad. It's good, but it's also just bad.
Awesome.
I don't know if I can rebuttal this because it's.
Well, you don't have to worry about that yet. So right now, Martin, just pitch your worst twist.
Even though there's redeeming qualities about this movie, I'm going to go with Signs, the M. Night Shyamalan movie, because these aliens. Supposedly, you have little young Abigail Breslin at the time putting all these glasses of water all over the house. Why? Because I guess she sensed that the aliens could get hurt by the water. So then we find out down the road that, that they could be hurt by the water, that the water hurts them. And why the fuck would you come to a planet that's filled with 70% water? Like, come on, guys. You're supposed to be you have UFOs, you're supposed to be the more advanced race. And the whole twist of all these stupid water glasses everywhere is because that's their biggest weakness. Like, really? Like, you couldn't go to Mars. There's literally no water in Mars. Like, why do you have to come to Earth where literally everything is going to kill you? But that's the one I'll go with for now.
What a twist.
Why is it worse than Serenity? Attack Serenity. You can do it.
We always talk about, in this day and age of, cinema, we always talk about sequels and prequels and remakes, and everyone talks about how, like, there's not enough original storytelling and how, there's not these, like, new voices in cinema who try to make these new things happen. Well, here we have a notable TV creator who stepped onto the scene and made something fresh, made something new, Everyone's expecting this giant thriller. You have big names attached. And he tried to, he was like, you know what? And everyone keeps talking about, they want something new. I'm going to give him something new. So he came in with this new concept. He went back to some like Johnny Quest days when you can go into video games. You look at Space Jam now, it's all AI. You look at Ready Player One, that's all a video game. I'm pretty sure Ready Player One came out after Serenity. So you can make the argument that movies like Space Jam and Ready Player One were kind of piggybacking off of the sort of magical, creative, genuine stuff that was going on in Serenity, So it's like taking everyone for a loop. You thought the Lego movie was like smart in incorporating this twist of like it's a little kid playing with Legos. No, he took it one step further and he made a video game with like some murdering going on and a 10-year-old kid controlling the video game. So if we're not going to shit on the Lego movie for a kid playing with Legos, then we cannot shit on Serenity for a kid playing with a video game. Okay.
All right.
It's a fucking fisherman video game. No 10-year-old kid is playing fisherman video game, bro.
We don't know that, bro. I mean, kids
it's not happening. And on top of that, I know all that shit you just said was nice, but I know you don't believe a fucking word you just said.
doesn't matter.
And on top of that, here's why I yes, I understand the twist in Signs might be a little lame, but the reason why I love it is because there's that scene where where Mel Gibson's talking to Joaquin Phoenix. He's like, "Are you the type of person that sees signs, or are you the type of person that sees miracles?" And the whole movie's based on faith. And I love that at the end it comes back around to believing in your faith, believing in miracles. And yes, it might be cheesy, but God damn it, do I love it.
Okay, my last offense is that like movies like video games like Jungle Run, were some of the most popular games ever, that takes place in nature, atmosphere, there was rivers, there was water. We can go to GameStop and the video game fisherman section might be sold out. We don't know. We're not there. But I'm not saying that it is or that it isn't. But I know that video games, you think of Floppy Birds, the birds games, it's all about nature, like water, whatever, you name it. It works. Fucking Subway Surfer. The name Surfer, that was a popular. It wasn't essentially a surfer, but it was a Subway Surfer, and that's a popular video game. Okay, so and Signs, yeah, I get it. All like the religion, okay, but Mel Gibson hates Jews, so let's throw the whole faith thing out the window.
Wow, okay,
yeah.
Jesus. Wow. Okay.
Damn.
I hope Mel Gibson comes up in every single one of your fights.
Well, I mean, side note, we actually really love Mel Gibson.
What a twist. What a twist.
What a twist.
So question 3. Everyone loves a good hitman, except the victims. So let's pretend to be the hitman. So please describe and cast another hitman character or team of hitmen to put in this movie. And for question 3, we're going to start with Nick.
All right, so to stick in this movie, I'm going to put in Benicio del Toro's character from Sicario, Alejandro.
Oh, dude, you don't know how much you just scored.
Because he is just an insane, first of all, I love Sicario, and Benicio del Toro's performance in that is amazing. And I feel like sticking him in this movie, the movie would be over in like 5 minutes. Because he would just absolutely wreck shop and he would take out Buddy Israel like nothing. So yes, that's who I'm putting in this movie.
Very nice.
I need to know how is he doing that?
The guy's just a wolf, man. He's gonna walk in there. He's gonna make it up the elevator without really being detected, just because of how smooth he is. And when he gets to the floor, he's literally just gonna run through any security, bust open that door, and take everyone out with ease.
I dislike how much I like Sicario. Like I feel like it's unfair to Martin about how much I like Sicario. So Martin, now your turn to answer.
Okay, so I guess since he answered an existing one, I'm going to go with a made up one. I'll say since what's his name, Sparazzo or whatever, since he changed his locations to Italy, I'm going to say that he had a sort of compadre from he made friends with someone on like the Venice River? The river, I'm not sure where all the gondolas are.
Venice, yeah.
Yeah. So he there's how in John Wick you have like the homeless men who like the homeless people who are like actual assassins. Well, in Italy, you guys don't know this, but there's a underground thing of gondola drivers that are also assassins. Whoa. So he made friends, yes. And whenever you see someone get out of the gondola and they tip a special coin, that coin means something. Just FYI, so keep an eye out for that if you're ever in Italy.
Okay.
So he makes friends with this like one of the top gondola assassins like in the world. Once he eventually comes back to the States, the man also comes back, and since he likes to be near the water, he settles near Lake Tahoe, which is very nearby. So, he's there, he's awaiting his moment, and he's also kind of like a master of disguise, obviously being an underground assassin. So once he hears about the hit on Jeremy Piven's character, he essentially since he's nearby, he rolls up into the hotel room. He pretends like he's a plumber trying to check the water. And then he essentially goes up to the penthouse, sneaks his way up there. He causes like a sort of like blockage in the pipes. He essentially floods the penthouse. The windows smash open, and Jeremy Piven goes flying out the window with a bunch of water.
Oh, that's badass.
Yeah, that's how he dies.
I gotta know who's playing this underground gondola assassin.
I'm gonna say, you know what? Just to keep it, just R.I.P. I'm gonna say James Gandolfini is playing the gondola assassin.
Oh my God, I love
Solid
that.
choice. Solid choice.
I love Martin pulling out the veteran Twits move of, you guys don't know this, but I love that.
All right, gang, ready for this? Unbiased, unfiltered, and just strictly my opinion. Question 1 was a Wesley's Random Question, which I gave you a choice of a character, which you had to describe why the $1 million bounty was placed on their head and who killed them. Martin, you chose Alice from Alice in Wonderland. I thought that was really interesting. It's just good. Like, I don't have a ton other than like the very last scene of all you see at the very end is the cat smiling. That stuck with me. Nick, you chose Gamora from Guardians of the Galaxy. That one. I really enjoyed the whole layout and kind of like this is a prologue of everything that she had done. I think that this one is going to go to Martin, who kind of did a better job of establishing the world of an already developed character, and I just thought that developing that world of Alice was really interesting. Question 2 was a question about what is the worst twist in any movie ever. Nick, honestly, when you said Serenity, my immediate instinct was the Firefly TV show.
Yeah, if you would have picked that, I would have punched you in the face.
Yeah, I was very excited about that. So I'm not entirely on board with the whole fisherman thing, but you made a lot of really good points. Martin's Signs like hits a really personal spot in my heart for like a long time ago. Pretty sure I saw it in the movie theaters like 2 or 3 times just because like that's just where I was at that point in my life. But at the same time, Martin, I didn't necessarily like believe in what you were saying as why it was so terrible. And I think that Nick had a little bit of a better rebuttal for a fucking fisherman video game. And I quote,
so bad.
Yeah. So that one was very, very close as well. But that one I'm going to give to Nick. So question 3, and unbelievably, this one was probably the closest of all. Ben and I had spent the most time discussing this one. The question again was who was a good hitman to add to this movie. Nick, you added Benicio del Toro from Sicario, which super, super hits a soft spot in my heart because I think that is just an absolutely perfect addition to this movie. I love Benicio. I love Sicario. I think he's a maniac. I think that was a great choice. Martin, your choice, I was a little confused, and that's just because I'm stupid. But like it seemed like it was James Gandolfini, correct?
James Gandolfini as part of this underground gondola assassins.
Right. And kind of like as a John Wick-ish character.
Yeah, kind of. When you think of like the homeless people, same thing with the gondola drivers.
Love it. Loved both of them. That's why this was so hard. I really liked Martin actually putting him in Lake Tahoe for a reason and blocking in the pikes. But I cannot get over how much I want Benicio del Toro in this movie from Sicario, and the fact that it would be over in 5 minutes and he would wreck that shit, I'm pretty sure was the quote. So this question is going to Nick for question 3. So Benicio del Toro wins question 3.
Well, I gotta say,
I disagree.
Wesley and I were not on the same page on this one. I think this all comes down to who the judge is, because Martin would have won that last one for me, because I think in Nick taking an established character, not that he couldn't do that, but the description and the casting basically boiled down to, oh, it's just the guy from Sicario. whereas Martin built this original world and killed Jeremy Piven's character in this really fun, original way that would have fit within this movie very well. So just goes to show you that it all comes down to who the judge is. And today, Nick,
fuck you, Wesley,
won that one.
Whatever. I hope we're all still friends, but
I'll take that technicality. I'll take that.
But Nick, Martin, thank you so much for joining us today. We really appreciate your support on social media and just in general guesting on our show. Do you guys have anything you want to plug? Tell us more about where we can find you.
All those social medias, Twitter, Instagram. I think Instagram is FN and the nerds. Twitter is FN_nerds. In both our bios, you'll see the link tree, which gives us the Apple profile, Spotify, where you can listen. You can also see our YouTube page where we have some video content. As mentioned before, the past couple of weeks have been a little crazy, which we said. So the daily's kind of fallen off a bit, but we're going to hope to get that going up soon. But regardless, we still have we still do reviews and episodes and stuff like every single week. So there's a whole bunch of stuff that you can check out.
Awesome. And then if that short film that you guys made ever becomes something available to us, you'll have to hit us back up and give us the link to that so we can share that with everybody as well.
For sure. Mm-hmm. Definitely.
Awesome. And thanks again for being on. Next week, we'll have on Danielle and Sam from the podcast Book Retorts. Danielle's willing to come back with us even after watching Southland Tales and having Emily on her podcast. So she still wants to be friends with us, but maybe not after next week because we are watching the Nicolas Cage movie next.
Woo!
Oh, God,
so we'll see. Yeah, we're in a bit of a rough patch here where we're just watching really shitty movies.
This movie was honestly a highlight after coming off.
They made for the best conversations, though. I feel like
I gotta tell you though, Martin, Epic movie, the one we watched last week, did not make for the best conversation.
Oh my God.
That's awful.
That one.
That's painful.
All those stupid parody movies.
Yep.
Oh my
questioned
God.
quitting the podcast after that.
Ben wants us to watch disaster movie sometime.
Oh no. No.
Wait, Epic movie, that's the one that starts off with the baby Shrek in 300 and he kicks it, right?
No, that's Meet the Spartans. Epic movie's the one that's the Narnia spoof.
Yes.
They all just kind of blend together.
Yeah.
Martin, I feel so bad for you that you have multiple references.
Yeah. I have we always joke around that FN's because you know how FX FX got the movies. We always say FN's got the reference. So yeah, they may not be good, but we got them though.
But they're there.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you everyone so much for listening. Please subscribe, rate, share us with a friend or two, and check us out next week where we're doing next. Have a good one.
Bye.
Thank you, Martin and Nick.
Bye. Yep, thanks.
Bye, everybody.
Thanks for having us, guys. Bye.
Yeah, thank you.